And in today's episode, we delve into the fascinating world of snail farming in Kenya, a rapidly growing industry that's capturing the interest of many young entrepreneurs. Across the country, snail farming has emerged as a lucrative venture, with the young leading the charge and reaping significant financial rewards. Today we'll be showcasing a particular variety of snail known for its exceptional protein production, making it a higher sought-after option for both farmers and consumers. But what makes snails so special? You might be surprised that snails are not only nutritious but also delicious. Snail meat is considered a delicacy in many cultures, known for its tender texture and a unique taste, often compared to a cross between chicken and fish. Well, are you ready to learn more about snail farming? Well, let's go to the farm. Hello, welcome to Kilimo na Biashara Show. Remember, this is a show that brings you different types of farming methods and all emerging trends in the agribusiness world. And speaking of emerging trends, today we want to dive into a unique type of farming. I'm speaking about snail farming. To many, they consider this as a pest in the garden. But to this particular farmer, it's more than that. It's a business venture, and I don't know what more. Let's get to learn more about snail farming, shall we? Well, let's go. Ibrahim,
yes.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm so fine. Yes, karibu sana.
Thank you so much. So this is Kono Farm.
Yeah, this is Kono Farm.
Tell me more about this. Introduce me to Kono Farm as you introduce yourself as well.
So my name is Ephraim Okeo. I'm the founder of Kono Farm. What we do at Kono Farm, we do heliculture or snail farming as a solution to food insecurity and malnutrition. So we are based in Nairobi, and it's been 3 years since we started. So here we are advocating on food diversity because I personally believe in fighting hunger and malnutrition through creative solutions to diversify our food systems. Again, currently what inspired me, apart from that, we also harvest the slime. And use the slime to make skincare products.
So before we even talk about many things, why did you decide it's snail that is going to really help in food nutrition?
So while I grew up, having 3 meals in a day was a very big challenge. And right now, food insecurity is a social major challenge. Like right now, a third of Kenyans are going to bed without food, and 20% are facing malnutrition, and lack of protein is the major cause of that. So again, we also have climate change and things like there's a time government climate advisors were urging people that beef production is the leading cause of deforestation right now, even the land degradation. We also have the carbon footprint that come from this, and also you'll find that also the waters has been affected. People are overfishing. There's a time in some regions we have shortage of fish, and unemployment is also another challenge, because before I started I was unemployed, and so after that me and some of my friends wanted to bring a solution to such problems that people are facing, because I realized that I was not the only one who was facing food insecurity. So after that we started an organization where we were training people on how they could utilize the spaces they have to produce their own foods here in the city, because tuko hapa kwa city, and we started with kitchen gardenings, showing people how they can, whether be it in the balconies, how they can. Then later on nikaona pia malnutrition was another challenge.
And you started here?
I didn't start here. I was in another place. I started somewhere else. But before I was on business, because currently we are doing business. We were just demonstrating to people why they should venture into snail farming, the nutritional values, such things. Then later on, I visited a farm somewhere, so the demand, how people were demanding for the snails. and also the employment that was created there. So nikaona there's an opportunity of this. And again, you know, snail delicacy is not a new thing, but here in Kenya it's a bit new. So you'll find that even our customers mostly are expatriates. So we saw that we can also change Kenyan mindset on the delicacy. So after that one nikaanza, I started with around 2 kgs somewhere.
So when you say 2 kgs, those are approximately how many snails?
Okay, so 2 kgs, a kg contains around 10 to 15 snails. But the snail I purchased from a farmer. So when you are starting, maybe you need to like purchase the breeder stock. We call them breeder stock from a farmer. So after that I purchased the 2 kgs, then nikaanza. But since then zingine zilikufa. Later on production ikaongezeka polepole, nikaanza kuongezeka.
So they multiply each other? Yeah,
they reproduce, and they reproduce very fast. They usually lay eggs, and they lay up to 5 clutches in a year. And an individual snail can lay up to 200 eggs per clutch. So this means that zina reproduce haraka.
Now that you said it produces 200 eggs from one snail, how is the management?
Ziliongezeka polepole. Ziliongezeka polepole, but with time pia nilikuwa natafuta funds nje, naongezea stock, nikaendelea hivyo hivyo. So ikaendelea kigrow. So pia later nika apply for grants, nikapata grant ya kwanza. So nili manage to expand farm kidogo at least, because I only had 2 boxes at that time. So zilianza kuongezeka. Then with time sasa tukaanza kutafuta market sasa ya snail sasa. So we started looking for the market, tukafanya a lot of marketing, social media, nini. Tukaanza kupata clients, and what motivated me tena sana was that our first client was a Kenyan. So ali order snails ambazo zilikuwa nyama, the frozen, because we have different clients. Some prefer the frozen ones, tume extract kutoka kwa shell, tume package nyama peke yake. Ni kama tu kuku. Some prefer the live ones, waende wajitengeneze, you know. So huyu client wa kwanza aliitisha kilo 4 and alikuwa Mkenya. So ili tu motivate zaidi, sasa tukaona sasa ni biashara, tuingie sasa kwa biashara, we can be serious with it. Later on we started expanding, ikafika mahali kazi kakuwa mingi, siwezi fanya mimi mwenyewe.
But how is the management of snails really?
At that time I was the one managing the farm. Mimi nilikuwa full time, mimi ndio nafanya everything. So snails feed on vegetables. We have different foods, and there are hermaphrodites. Hakuna specific male na female, so but zina alternate na seasons. So they first feed on vegetables. A snail can eat up to 500 different plants. Apart from vegetables, we have the fruits, but not the acidic ones. Apart from oranges, lemons, and pineapples. Again, pia unaweza zipea kitchen remains, but for the kitchen remains, you will have to rinse a bit because of the excess salt. The salt is not that friendly.
Oh yes, the salt will make it melt.
Not really melting, but they will die. Alafu pia kuna formulated feed. Hii formulated feed, saa huwa tuna formulate, inasaidia zina gain weight haraka. Sana sana kama unaifanya commercially. Then pia kuna difference between a snail and a slug. You know, most of the time people confuse because...
Oh yeah, so what's the difference?
So the snail has a shell and the slug does not have a shell. So sometimes, most of the time people do confuse. But pia si snails zote ambazo ni edible. We have specific species ambazo watu wanakula.
So there are different varieties of snails. Which one do you have here, and which are the other varieties in the snail world?
So the one that we have, there is a lot of species. You know, kuna zingine zinafanyika hata Europe, ambazo hatuna hapa, but the common one in Africa ambayo pia iko Europe na in other regions ambayo tuko nayo ni giant African land snails. So under giant African land snails ziko mara 3. Kuna moja inaitwa Chatina fulica tuko nayo, na kuna nyingine inaitwa Chatina na Chatina marginata. So there are 3. So hizo ndio tuko nazo sasa kwa farm.
And why did you select that variety? Is it for meat or there are other additions?
Totally they are for meat, but the snail has a lot of benefits, because apart from the meat, the slime is also beneficial. We also have medicines made from the slime for TB.
Ephraim, I'm just looking at this structure, this snail house. Is this the model snail farm or a snail house?
So we have different types of structures. Some prefer the net houses. We have number 1 net houses. We have the wooden pens, the boxes, and we also have tear snaileries. and also the concrete pens, but zote ziko na advantages na disadvantages, so hii huwa ina depend na pia location and with the spacing pia, but snail farming can be done anywhere, haihitaji nafasi kubwa.
But what really motivated you to decide to build this particular structure as opposed to the rest of ones available?
The net house. Okay, net house sababu yake tu ni ku prevent most of the predators, so hawezi ingia ndani, but ukiangalia ndani, so apart from this tuko na farm ingine, but this acts like a demo. So ukiangalia ndani tuko na boxes, pia tuko na ndani pali tunaziweka tu kwa ground. So for the net houses zinakaa tu kwa ground, but for the boxes huwa zinawekwa ndani ya boxes.
But what do they feed on?
So they usually consume the vegetables. Kuna hizo chakula nilikuwa nimemention kama the kitchen remains, alafu pia maji, alafu kuna ile formulated feed. Hii inasaidia zina gain weight haraka sana sana kama unaifanya kama biashara.
So what's the hardest thing especially in management of snails?
The hardest thing yenye inasumbua farmers sana sana ni kuifanya kuwe sustainable, because utapata farmers wengi wana farm but kuna wakati ameuza ana. So that's why pia during the training kuna structures ambazo tumetengeneza, tunaonyesha pia hizo structures wanaweza zitengeneza alafu zinawasaidia. Each and every month anakuwa assured like akona a certain kgs ambayo anaweza harvest. Yeah.
Ephraim, that is quite interesting. And there are lots lined up for us today. Remember, if this particular type of farming is well adopted here in Kenya, where food insecurity is rampant, this could be the solution for food security and nutrition. Thank you so much for staying with us. And this is the fun bit. Well, what I'm holding right here is the giant African land snail, one of the varieties best known for its meat. And this is what we're discussing today: food insecurity, how to get food secure, and the nutritional bit of this. So, Ephraim, tell me more about this. I feel like they look like a slug, and you've told us the difference. They can't interact in here. How do you keep it secure?
Yeah, so this is a snail. It is not a slug. So most of the time people do confuse, but the snail has a shell. As you can see, it has a shell. So this shell is attached to the body. So, but not every snail is edible. We have specific species. Like this one is a Chatina fulica, one of the giant African land snail, of which people do consume.
But now, as a consumer, how will I know this is the giant African land snail as opposed to the one that is not edible?
So that's why we encourage people to go for trainings and interact with farmers like us, because during the training we usually show people. We have a workshop that we usually train people once in a month. So during the workshops we usually train people in the community. Also we show them the right species that they can farm, and also the nutritional value on why they should consume snails.
But is there a visible difference? Like you can spot the difference just by looking at it?
Under giant Africans we have 3 species, but we have you'll find that we did have 2. We had a Chatina and a Chatina fulica, but currently most of the snails here is a Chatina fulica, but this one is a Chatina. So you can see the difference. This one is a bit lighter. Even the shell for the snail is a bit lighter than the other one.
So the shell is just a protective gear, or it has other functions?
The shell is part of the body. So you find that inside the shell we have intestines. So where digestion of the snails usually takes place. So it is part of the body, and it also acts like a protective gear for the snails.
And away from the meat business now that you get from this, have you also tapped into the shell business, the business involved when you have the shells?
So Like right now, we have clients, different clients. Some prefer the frozen meat. Some prefer some purchase their live ones to go and prepare for themselves. So for the ones that prefer the frozen ones, when we remain with the shells, we are now planning to start formulating poultry feeds from the shell, because it is 98% rich in calcium carbonate. And right now we also know for how the cost of feeds for the poultry is very expensive. We are also seeing an opportunities in the other side, so we are going to be formulating our own poultry feeds from the shells.
Ephraim, I see right inside here there are banana suckers as well as the soil. Why do you have them here?
So in a snail farm, I mentioned something about moisture. They prefer moist environment. So to retain the moisture, sometimes we use banana leaves. These banana leaves, like in the dry seasons, when we sprinkle waters, it acts like it retains the moisture. And again, during daytime, when the sunlight is excess, the snails usually hide inside the banana leaves. So again, for the soil, they usually lay their eggs inside the soil. So where we have any snail farmers to have a soil. So the loam soil is the best soil because of the water retention, and also cotton soil is not the best one because it usually compacts, and sometimes it is difficult for the snails to maneuver, because they usually get inside the soil so that they can get a good space to lay their eggs.
That is really important, because I didn't know that you have to specifically use loam soil as opposed to the rest of the soils available. But now, what are the challenges involved when you're a snail farmer?
Okay, so like right now, the challenge that we are experiencing, because apart from the selling the snail for meat, we also harvest the slime. So the slime is very beneficial to the skin. So we realized that most of the snail skincare products that are here in Kenya are being imported from outside. Most of the products are from Korea, and ladies are really scrambling for this product. So we saw a gap there. So we now decided to introduce our own products from the slime. So you'll find that one of the challenges is in developing more products from the slime, because the demand has been high since we introduced. The demand is high for the snail meat and also for the slime. We also have, before we introduced our products, we were harvesting the slime and selling the slime to the companies that make these products. And they really buy a lot of slime from us. So the challenge is the demand. So again, since we introduced our skincare products, there's been a lot of demands.
And how much does it go for?
So we usually sell the snails in kgs. For the live ones, we usually sell at a minimum of 2,000 per kilogram. But for the frozen one, we sell at a minimum of 3,000 Kenya shillings. But for the slime, we used to sell the slime at 1,300. We sell in liters, 1,300 Kenya shillings per liter. And for the beauty products, we have different varieties and different grams of which we...
But now I'm curious, how do you normally collect the slime?
We have different, the procedure, we have three procedures. The first one is using a stimulating solution that we make from citric acid. And the second one is using a dark room with a certain temperature where we can harvest the slime. And the third one, we use water to extract the slime.
Ephraim, so aside from meat production as well as slime business, how has the venture been?
Oh, the venture has been very nice. When we started, we had a lot of challenges with the market, and the challenge was finding the market for the snails and the slime and everything. But currently, the challenge is meeting the demand. Right now, that is the challenge. So we are tackling this issue by we usually train farmers. So we have a group of farmers that we've trained. So after training them, we enable them to start their own farms. Then later on, we link them with the market for the snails and the slime. So as you can see, we've created direct and indirect employment, that the farmers that are working here and the ones that we've trained indirectly to start their own farms. Currently we've employed at least 7 youths directly and 10 individuals indirectly. And last year we also won an award. We won an award from an organization called Biashara Africa. I was really glad that I won the Youth-Owned Business of the Year. Again, this year, last week I was shortlisted to a Youth Business International program. I traveled to UK and got to network with a lot of people who are going to help us in growing. Again, this year I also demonstrated our skincare products to United States to Kenya Ambassador Meg Whitman, and she promised that she's gonna connect us with the export market. So these are some of the opportunities that we've achieved, and also partnering with City Shamba as also, like last year when King Charles III came in Kenya, we were also pleasured. It was also a pleasure for us to demonstrate what we do. So he saw what we do and he was very excited. Yeah, so we are hoping that in at least 5 years we are going to create more jobs, because unemployment is a very big challenge right now. Even you have seen with the demonstrations that are going on. So we are hoping that we'll have our own restaurants, because most of our clients we've realized are from the islands and there's no restaurants there. We have restaurants, but they are not a lot. So some come for the snails, but when we have the restaurants, it will be easier for them to come and access the well-prepared snail meat.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So you plan to come up with a snail restaurant. But I'm curious, why is that?
I think with that it will be easy to change the Kenyan mindset and also to reach out to our customers. And again, we want to have our own beauty shops where people can come and access our different varieties of skincare products. Again, we want to tap into the export market. Currently, we have demand from Germany. We've gotten demand. People who want a certain kgs of snails each and every week, the oven dried. We also have the oven dried. And also the skincare products. So we want also to tap into the export market. Hopefully by the end of the year we'll be exporting our products to the United States. And as you can see, this is a huge number that we are going to create employment.
Also, there is huge demand.
There is huge demand and it has a very good business potential.
But now, how does snail really taste?
The snail is very delicious, even most of the Kenyans, let's say, again, according to our findings, the younger generation are really embracing new alternative sources of food, even protein. So they have no problem with the snail delicacy, but the older generation are finding it awkward, but we've managed at least to change other people. Most of the people right now have embraced the delicacy. So because during the workshops we also cook with them, we do some practicals, show them how to extract the snail from the shell, how to wash it, because before cooking it you have to wash it to get rid of the slime. When you are cooking it, you do not have the slimy part.
So how do you normally protect them, especially to ensure that they don't leave their cages?
So we have some nets, as you can see. We have different structure, but we usually use some nets and some mesh wires. This one really helps because snails also have predators. We have predators like lizards, rats, snakes. So with the nets and the wire mesh, it is easier for us to protect the snails from certain predators and also insects.
Ephraim, this is a net right up here. Does it get affected by rain? Because I can imagine it can pass through to the cages.
They don't get affected with the rains. But for the sunlight, there has to be a shade. But for this space, we have trees, so it is good for us because we don't have directive sunlight.
Thank you so much, Ephraim. We truly appreciate. And thank you for being part of the show today. We truly appreciate you for keeping us company until this very moment. I hope you've learned something about not just about snail farming. This is the giant African land snail, best known for its meat, but what I'm impressed about is the youth involvement in food security, ensuring food security in the country through this venture. So I hope you're motivated as well, and you can explore this type of farming and contribute to food security in the country. Thank you so much. My name is Linda Koskei. See you again next time.